So if we haven't been friends yet, guess what? We're friends now. My name is Kirk Phillips, and I'm out of Knoxville, Tennessee. Sometimes Somerset, Kentucky, depending upon how my girlfriend and I are doing, right? But before I say anything, I want you to know how grateful I am. One, that you're here. Two, that I'm part of the Globetrotter organization in any regard. I am so thrilled with what Christian has built and being just a tiny part of it. It's like, I came to my first camp maybe 4 years ago. It was the greatest experience I had in 20 years. I'm not always the best at making friends, but by God, this is a place you can make friends. This is a place you can make friends forever. And it's just been phenomenal. So what I want you to know is, as much as it depends on me, I want your experience to be the same as mine. That good. Cool? Best in 20 years. I don't know that I can do anything to help that. It's already here. But if I can do anything, you can count on me. So this class is the reverse Russian tie. Tom, are you here? Tom Dowdell? Tom's not here. All right, well, let me just share this with you. I started working on this move for myself a couple years ago, and Tom Dowdell and I are friends, and he came to Knoxville, and I didn't know that he was working something extremely similar. And I started doing my move on him, and he started doing his move on me, and we're like, hey, I know what the hell that is. Like, I worked that myself, right? We have a little different take on it. But I will tell you this, I think Tom is teaching tomorrow, and he's teaching his version. He tapped me with it, and I knew what the hell he was doing. I'm just saying, if you get a chance to go tomorrow to Tom's class, you should do that, if you like this at all, right? So, why the reverse Russian tie? How many people know Pre McKelson? Okay, Pre hasn't been here in a couple years maybe, but he's extremely popular, and he teaches defensive jiu-jitsu, and the older you get, sometimes the more you feel that's important, right? But honestly, if you're starting out as a white belt, just in my humble opinion, you should start with defense before it. Don't try to learn the buggy chokes until you can learn how to defend yourself, right? Anyway, Pre McKelson teaches defensive BJJ, and one of the positions that he teaches is called the hawking position. Does anybody know that? Looks something like this. Hawking, right? Well, I was using that for defense, and it works incredible. Now, there's a little crack in the armor, and I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it's super effective. You can, like, fight someone off forever using that, right? But I had problem getting from this defensive position back into the game to offense. I couldn't find the transition. And although he could, I struggled with how to do that. And so kind of came up with this on my own. And I was going to patent it until I ran into Tom Dowdell and he tapped me with my own move, or his own move, however you want to say it. But I want to give you a couple of reasons why I think this move is really important. And the first is because it takes you from a defensive position back into offense, which is, for me, was hard to do from hawking. The other thing is it puts you a step ahead of your opponent. You ever roll with somebody and it's like every time you're headed somewhere, they've already moved on? You get done right, you're like, I have a step ahead of me the whole time. Whether it's their athleticism, whether it's their technique or their strategy, I've been there. The reverse Russian tie can put you at least a half a step ahead of your opponent. It's kind of cool. So going from defense, and the last reason might be because hopefully nobody's seen it. And I get a lot of weird reactions to it, and so that's kind of cool because it's like they don't know what to expect, right? And I've already pre-programmed in my head what I'm going to do when they give me a reaction, but they haven't seen it yet. So you kind of have an advantage there. So those are the reasons I think this would benefit you. In order to start out, let's talk a little bit about hawking, or familiarize people with what the hawking position is. And if you come to this class and you're relatively new or inexperienced, and the only thing you walk away with is how to defend yourself on the bottom, guess what? That's chapter 1, and that's perfect. And if it's all you retain, great. Use it. And that was the golden nugget for you. To encompass everything I'm sharing today might not be exactly for you. It might be if you're more intermediate or advanced, okay? But whatever you get from it, I'm going to work chronologically from the best case scenario to what will happen once you start to attack people with this, okay? So let's talk a little bit about hawking. Let's see. I'm over here, Justin. You figure out where you are. So generally in hawking, we're kind of facing away from our opponent, right? And I would share with you some of the most key details in jiu-jitsu. 90% of my game, I hope, is coming from my legs. Not so much my arms. My arms are more frames that allow me. It's easier to move me than move him, right? It takes a lot of energy to move him, but it doesn't take so much energy to move me because it's coming from my feet. And I would share that, look, there's no power in the legs here. There's nothing. I have nothing. When my hips are off the ground, I have power to move, to bridge, to do whatever. So if you're relatively new, that might be something that you work on. The other thing is, my elbows are always in, and my hands are always, for me, my hands are always here. Because the minute I start to turn my hands out to push, I expose my elbows. And if I expose my elbows, Justin's going to rip my arm off or choke me, right? So I'm protecting my neck, protecting my elbows, my feet are in contact with the ground, and if he's attacking, I'm kind of here, right? And it's really difficult for him, like if he goes for a lapel choke, even if he gets it, I really don't care that much, right? If he gets it, because I'm going to be pinning my shoulder to my ear. Let's do this. Can we do this side? Yes. And there's also, so he goes to lapel choke or something. Look, I can fight this hand. I can ghost escape, phantom escape, but it's all about the defense, right? So what I'd like to start with is for those of you that this is new to, right? Work a little bit of defense. My feet are engaged, my elbows are in, my chin is down, my opponent's in top side control. I'm actually faced away from him in this very defensive shell, but it's hard to get back to offense, right? But anyway, here, you can defend forever, hopefully. Any questions on that? Cool. 1, 2. So, how many found that effective just from a defensive standpoint? Yeah, so you can thank Pre McKelson for that, because he really kind of evolved that for everybody. But also, in that position, like, it's kind of hard if you're faced away. For me, how am I going to get back in the offense? All of my attributes are over here. Everything I've got to fight with is facing away from Justin. Right? So, even though I can defend well, it's hard to come up on my, where am I going? Okay, now I'm going to go this way. He's going to hold on to me. It's going to make it a little bit difficult. And all of my skill set is facing away from him. So I started to work with that just for Kirk, just for myself, right? One of the things that I realized is, we're going 5%, Justin. When Justin's attacking, right, this hand is almost always right here. He's going to do something with his hand. And I'm either going to use my leg to bring it to me, or we're going to do the sleeve thing, and he's going to grab me, and I'm going to grab him back, and I'm going to go 2-on-1. Here. So a lot of times, look, I don't care. I'm not so worried about him attacking my neck. And when I said you get a half a step ahead of your opponent, this is what I'm talking about. Let's go slow, Justin. He goes to attack, and he attacks my collar. If I don't do something about that hand, he's going to choke me. He's going to bow and arrow me. He's going to Ezekiel me. He'll do some kind of lapel choke, and I'm toast. But I'm not so concerned about that if I get a step ahead and take away his second arm that he needs to choke me with first. So we're here, and Justin starts to work. Look, see how my elbows are in? And I'm already going to hand fighting. And I'm going to try to go 2-on-1. If I have to move myself, whatever I have to do, I'm going to catch this arm. I'm not worried about that choke. He is. And then you'll see this look on their face like, wait a minute. He gets the one hand, and he's like, well, wait a minute. No, I already have your other hand. That's what this is about, yeah? And so when I reach, look, I'm not just grabbing his arm. I'm doing a couple things. When I grab his wrist, gi or no gi, right? I'm taking this right here, and I'm going just to the south side or not, whatever, of these two large bones. So I'm between his wrist and his hand. And I do that because it makes it hard for him to pull that way or push that way. If I just have a C grip, he's going to break. If I have this, it's a little bit harder for him to break, right? I'm not just grabbing his arm with the soft part of my arm, my bicep. That's too soft, right? I want to use the blade. So I'm going to shoot past him a little bit. And I'm going to come right here. And I'm going to use the blade of my forearm against him. I'm not holding him to my chest, because if I do, I have nowhere to create leverage. So just like a shoulder crunch, I'm leaving space, a pocket for me to attack here, to make him uncomfortable. Some people will tap as soon as you do that to them. I'll catch their arm here, and I'm going to push to the ceiling with this hand and pull down with my anchor point the other way, opposing forces, right? Make me really strong. And I'm pushing and pulling, and sometimes they'll tap right there. Not Justin, right? Sometimes they will. So what I'd like to do next is start with that. That's what Kirk Phillips calls the reverse Russian tie. That's the start of it. And the purpose is, even if he attacks me, I'm a half a step ahead. And I'm doing something he hopefully hasn't seen before. And I'm going back to offense from defense. Okay? Questions on that? Yeah.
A couple times I saw you raise your knee up to kind of bolster that stooping arm. Wow.
I think that has probably become an instinct for me, because part of hawking and part of this is, look what happens if I attack this arm and I leave my leg down. He's going to go right into mount or knee on belly. So it's an instinct, it's a feel for me, and probably subconsciously, if he starts to move that way, I'm already thinking I got to keep that knee up. You know what I mean? Other questions?
His arm is very short and he keeps it all the time close to his rib cage.
He's asking what happens if your opponent keeps their elbow close to their waist and close to their rib cage. I would say he's probably not attacking me then, right? If I'm here and I'm defending, I'm okay, but chances are he's going to want to do something right there. I just felt it. And see me move, I get to the inside, here. Does that answer your question? Is that a good answer? Is that a fair answer?
Mm-hmm.
I think he's not attacking if he's withdrawn.
Is this like an arm lock already?
Yes. He's asking, is it an arm lock? Essentially it is. Now look, it's not a good arm lock, but it is an arm lock, and it works against people who are inexperienced, but it gets worse. All right? We'll show you how it gets worse. Any other questions? Ready to drill it?
Yes.
All right, 1, 2. I'm trying to get just north of his elbow. Just north with the blade of my arm. Yeah? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I was playing with that and also playing with getting close, higher up on the shoulder to force his shoulder.
Yeah, I'm going to show you something in a little while that's higher on the shoulder that's really nasty. For now, we're down here by the elbow. Is that cool? So my initial attack is generally just above the elbow. Cool? But you're already thinking ahead. That's great, Marco. Anybody else? Running into anything weird? Yeah, Jamie?
Trouble getting the orientation of the elbow and a really good spot. Like it's kind of like bent a couple different spots.
If the elbow is bent, you're saying their elbow is bent?
Yeah. Like, I know where I want to get to.
Yeah. The things I would suggest for that are, as I'm fighting for this arm, I'm already thinking about extending his arm. Like I'm pulling on it as soon as I get a hold of it. That's one. And then we're in a minute here, if he starts to bend his arm, right, we're going to work on what we do from there. For now, let's just see, Jamie, that you got this down. And the other thing is, this is big, this grip, because if it's not where I suggested, and I'm pointing his pinky to the ceiling, if he can turn that, now he has an advantage I don't want him to have, right? So I didn't mention this, but I want his pinky to the ceiling, just like an armbar, yeah? Okay? And I'm controlling the rotation here. I hope that helps him, yeah?
But sorry, but also if you over rotate that hand, you will make him bend the elbow more to an American like Kimura. So
Yeah.
that's another thing to keep in mind.
And when they do bend their arm, we got answers for that. We're headed there next, but you're exactly right, okay? Yeah.
So we found, like, I was pushing this hand way up, and he found that just keeping the frame and rolling on top of it was more effective.
We're going there next. And I'm not trying to cut you off. It's just I can save everyone some time because that's where we're headed. Cool. Anything else?
Only elbow rotation, you need to have pointing, ceiling.
That's a good point. He's asking, where's my elbow? And for when I start out, my elbow's high. There's going to come later a move where I keep my elbow trapped to my body. But for now, my elbow is high. Yeah? All right. So let's move on a little bit and start to answer some of these questions that are coming up already. All valid questions because they all truly happen. And one of the most prolific or common responses to this is somebody starts to walk their feet around to my feet. I guess to relieve the tension. I'm not sure. But I'm going to work solo here for a minute, and then I'm going to ask Justin to help me. Remember, jiu-jitsu is 90% legs, right? Even just sitting here, huh? No, I'm just kidding. But look, so I'm here, and I have my feet engaged, and I lock this on. My hips are off the ground. For whatever reason, I don't know, they start to feel that pain. They start to walk their feet this way like they're going to come over the top of me. Maybe they think they're going knee on belly, right? Remember these two key details. They're super, super important. One is I have to keep my hips high on this move. And the other one is I have to look behind me. When I say look behind me, I don't mean look behind me. I don't want my head on the mat. I want to look behind me, not above me. Yeah? So I go like this. I have this bike. He starts to walk around. I'm going to pass this arm underneath me. I'm going to keep my hips high, and I'm going to look behind me. In judo, what do we call this? A sotogari, maybe? No. Seinagi. Here. I go here. See my hips off the ground? I'm going to turn my hips over and look behind me. Yeah? So it's like a judo throw. And it works. I hit so many people with this. It really works. The most common response I've gotten is I'm here. I start to bite. He starts to walk his legs that way. Look, this leg came off the ground. I'm starting to elevate. I'm looking behind me. Right? So, what are the two key elements?
Look behind.
Look behind you and hips off the ground. And I get my hips off the ground by this inside, whatever, help me out. What is it? That. Right? So I'm here, look behind, elevate, keep my hips high. Watch what happens if I don't. If I come here and I'm lazy and my hips are low, he's just going to take my back. That's bad for me. Yeah? So I'm blocking. He starts to walk towards me. I look behind me. Cool? Questions? And by the way, one of my favorite collaborators is here, Seth Spradlin. So feel free to call on him and Tom Dowdell to help coach you through any of these moves. Yeah.
So the wrist control, as you rotate, you try to put that wrist up as well.
It's not that I'm focused on his wrist. I'm focusing on going from defense back to offense. And my two things that are going through my head, I promise you, is elevate my hips so I'm half a step ahead of him and look behind me. I think what you're saying is valid, but that's not my primary thought. Because I think even if I'm lazy with this, if I do those two other things, I think I'll get it. Anybody else?
Straight arm, is it like a tension like a bow? Like if you're, when you extend that one,
It's really more like a shoulder crunch, or, you know, when you do a shoulder crunch from the guard and you create this cavity and you're pulling into that pocket. So it's not so much a bow and arrow or a push away movement. It's more, I'm trying to pull his elbow into that pocket and make him do something, like walk towards me. And then I'm going to elevate, look behind. Anything else? Cool, let's give it a shot. 1, 2. And so this might become more of a introduction. We're flying by as opposed to perfecting each move. Cool. Justin, please. So that's probably the most common reaction. Another reaction I get, and over here he mentioned it, I think. I start to go here. He turns his arm the other way. This way. He bends his arm. And now, like Seth, a phantom escape, right? Now I'm going to kind of arm drag. Remember that my feet are key. I can pull this all day long. I'm not going to get to the top. It's what I do with my feet. So I'm here, and I go like this, and he bends his arm. I'm going to take a forward shrimp in this direction. I'm going to come this way, and then I'm going to donkey kick myself back to the top. Somebody asked me one time, well, why your inside leg is already defending. Why don't you donkey kick with that one? He bends. If I go to donkey kick, I'm going to run into him. I have to shrimp. Questions? We're going to do a flyby. This good? Got it? 1, 2. I'm rushing a little bit, okay? But I want you to see the variations of this. And after this, I mean, I usually record my stuff on YouTube. You can message me privately if you need a refresher. I'd probably send it to you, yeah. But I kind of want to introduce all the elements of this if I can. So I apologize for rushing through some of it. So what else? Oh, yeah. So I'm a big ghost phantom guy, kind of like Seth is too, yeah. And so one of the things that I learned in this is sometimes my opponent raises up. They just raise up. Now, I'll work without Justin for just a second. When I'm here and I start to bite and they raise up. And when they do, I'm going to switch my grip. Instead of doing this bite on their arm, I already have my hands in this position. I'm just going to reach behind their elbow with a C grip. And now if I wanted to, I could lift their arm and ghost out from under them. Can also ghost into a darce. Can also ghost into a triangle. Those are 3, right? But let me give you just the fundamentals of where we're going. So I'm here. I start to bite. He lifts up just a little bit. Yeah, he's escaping, right? Look, I switch to a C grip behind his elbow. Now here's the key detail. I start to move myself using my legs. Justin's probably going to push back towards me. Before he does, I'm going to switch my hand here. And when he pushes back, I'll come this way. It's hard to do it slow, guy. But I'm here. I start to bite. He raises up. I go this way. Out the back door. Ghost escape. Yeah? I'll try to do it slow one more time. The key detail is I switch from this to this. And see how I kind of like lowered myself? I start to push myself away. He's pushing, pushing, pushing. I switch my hands. Woo! Cool?
Yep.
Questions? 1, 2. You know, it's likely an old guy like me would probably teach the next part with the reading glasses on, you know? Do that kind of thing all the time. All right, Justin, you ready? Let's just, so can you see how that from there you could ghost escape maybe into a triangle or just into guard, right? I like even better this. So I go here and I start to bite. He raises up a little bit and I switch my grip, but he keeps his head low. He stays to me. Not quite that low. Yeah, he raises up like that. I'm going to push myself out right into this. So if they don't go real high, I start to come out. He stays low. Thank you. Thank you. 1, 2. If you know those in advance and you do this reverse Russian tie, there's an answer for most things, right? But I want to take you to the nastiest thing. Kind of like Matthew McPeak would do, right? Just want to take you to the worst. As he says, FAFO, right? Find around or find out, right? Here, so this is kind of what it looks like. Let me show you something first. If I'm on top, and top side control, and I'm going for a paper cutter. Hopefully we all know the paper cutter. If you don't, we're reaching under this arm, and I'm here, and I'm going to choke him from here with a paper cutter choke, right? Justin, spin the other way. This way. Keep going. Paper cutter, right? Now, Justin, I want you to roll to the. It works here too. And it works from the reverse Russian tie. And I'll show you how. So here I am, and the reverse Russian tie, right? And he starts to pass his arm. We're in the paper cutter position, aren't we? Yeah? Now, go back a little bit. I'm going to bite on this arm before he ever goes there. And who was asking? I think it was Marco. Asked, well, where on the arm are you grabbing? Now I'm going to grab someplace different. I'm going to grab high on the shoulder, but I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to bite and pull. This time, I don't want a cavity. I'll pull it to my chest here. Power comes from the feet. I'm going to bring this hand in front to the paper cutter position. I don't want the paper cutter choke. I want to separate his shoulder from his arm. And it comes from the feet and being pinned to my chest. I'm actually going to start to move my feet this way and it's like I'm trying to draw his humerus through the floor that way. I'm here, and it's the rotation that's nasty. I'm not even really trying to choke him. Maybe you can. Good. Add that to it. But for me, I'm thinking, you want to find out? Let's find out. Right? So I'm here, I bite, I pull all the way to my chest, I get a hold of this gi. If not, look, I'll just put my hand here, the blade of my hand. It comes from the legs. I move, rotate. And for you lanky, like wiry guys that I'm not, maybe you can even bring the hips back into the game, yeah? And go from an arm bar from the bottom. Old man like me is not going to do that.
Sure.
Yeah. So how do I do that, Nikki? I forget where that is. I'm here. I bite. I'm holding it to my chest now. I'm higher on the arm. I reach in front of his throat. I move my feet and pull that arm into the mat. And I got a long way to go yet, right?
Kirk, does it work if his arm's behind you? His arm's already past.
Good question. You're saying if he's there?
Yes, if he's there.
I don't think that would work as well. It might. You explore with it, and then you tell me, and we'll tell them next year.
It feels like it's
Maybe we won't tell them next year. Yeah.
Feels like
I don't- We're running out of time. Give it a try. 1, 2. So, my friends, that's the reverse Russian tie. And as much as I might think part of that is me. It's really part of all of us. It has a piece of Tom Dowdell in it. It has a piece of Matthew McPeak in it. It has a piece of Seth Bradlin in it. It has a piece of Tyler Farrington and Marco. There's little pieces of this I picked up from when I was a purple belt about the feet control, right? There's a part of all of you in it. But I share it with you, and I wanted you to see just a paintbrush stroke over the top of where you might be able to go from this if you're a hawking person, right? If that's the type of defense you use. And the older you get, the more you might appreciate that. I don't know. But it works for young people too, right? So I want to be respectful of the next coach. So if we could get a quick photo, I would love that. Good having you all here.